Father, we want to thank you for this beautiful day that you've given to us, and thank you for the opportunity to serve the Cherokee people. And please guide us in our decisions today. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Charlie Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Byrd. Julia Coates.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk.
Here.
Michelle Fulbright.
Present.
Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Anna Gloria Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener. Dick Clay.
Here.
Curtis Snell. Janice Taylor. David Thornton. Victoria Vasquez. Kara Allen Watt.
Honey.
No, you go.
Thanks, Chuck.
Well, he holds the door.
I'd like to entertain the motion to approve the minutes of December 16, 2013.
Second.
Mr. Lay.
Favor? All in
Okay.
favor? Say
Aye.
Have it. Okay, down to reports. Starting with Talk of Needs Job Report, Career Services, Diane Kelly. Man, it's good to have you back.
Well, thank you.
What's the New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution, to do more than what I did last year for the Cherokee people.
Good, all right.
I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody on behalf of Career Services and the Talking Leaves Job Corps Center. We have got some notepads for all of you. The NAVTEP business class, Miss Laura Jones and her students bound some notepads, and they're probably on your desk, or Gail's getting ready to hand them out to you.
I saw them. Those are great.
So
Thank you.
enjoy. That they had hoped to get them out to you at Christmas, and somehow or another, because of the weather, I don't know what happened. They couldn't get them bound. So anyway, they're a little bit late. So I told her that they'd be a New Year's present for you. Daryl Legg wanted me to report, and I think he had talked to one of the council members. I'm not really sure. I think it was you, Mr. Garvin, wherever you're at. Mr. Garvin, he's not here. Anyway, I think somebody had called him about a vocational referral, and he is just about out of vocational monies. He's got most all of it obligated, so I just wanted to share that with you. So if you have any constituents that are wanting assistance, we may not be able to help them until next year. So just wanted to share that with you. Talking Leaves Job Corps will be going through a review in the spring. Statistically, they're looking good, and they'll be building up their capacity. Spoke with the recruiters over lunch, and they have been extremely busy. I guess everybody's trying to get back into school. GED testing, I believe, Councilwoman Taylor, you were asking about that. I have a email here from Stephanie, and I can tell you what is going on with that. So just hang on just 1 minute. Got it here. Tahlequah and Stillwell GED assessment centers, the physical changes to the testing center have been approved by the state. The state was here a couple of weeks ago. They looked at the testing site in Stillwell and here in Tahlequah. Computer stations, they checked them and approved them. We are in the process of finalizing the software installation and establishing proctor rights for 4 staff. We hope to begin testing in February in Stillwell and in Tahlequah. Prior assessment center, we should begin remodeling, which at this time should be minimal. Prior, within the next 2 weeks, our hope is to begin testing in Prior sometime in March. And as soon as she gets those testing centers up and running, we'll be getting some general information out to you. Landra Alberti, who is our testing administrator, broke her leg, and she's on crutches and in a wheelchair, and Stephanie's filling in for her right now, and they're still trying to wind down from last year's testing assessment. The testing is, there's 4 different phases of testing, and it's going to cost $160 to get a GED assessment and a certification. And if you take it and you fail it and you go back, they'll look at the ones that you passed, and then you'll be prorated the amount to take the others. It's like 4 different areas. So it's going to be almost double the amount of what it was before. And of course, the testing centers, we don't have as many testing sites as we did in the past. And we're going to have a lot of people contacting us to come in to get testing. We also attended a ribbon cutting and open house at the new Rogers State Annex in the Mid-America Industrial Park in Pryor last week. If you haven't seen the new annex there, you need to go see it. It's state-of-the-art. Dr. Rice was overwhelmed with the turnout. There was real bad weather the day before, and we had snow and ice, but there was a really good turnout, wasn't there, Janelle? Yeah. So if you haven't had a chance, go by and see it. We will be working with Rogers State. They're going to be doing a lot of continuing ed services and specialized training, and we're working with them and Oklahoma Tech so that we can get services. He even offered us to, given us space there to take our summer youth kids for some sort of a, I guess, kind of like a career fair for the kids in the summer. So we may take him up on it because they do have a really nice auditorium. Been working on conference calls with Macy's, and I'm sure Chief will mention that to you all tonight in his State of the Nation on what we're doing. They have contacted us about construction, so we're working on that as well. So more to come towards the end of the month at the Executive Finance on that. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Diane, on the 140 for GED, is there any program for employees who don't have that to get that? And people that are already employed?
They can actually come through our program, and if they qualify, well, we can assist them. It's 160.
Oh, 160?
We won't know exactly what the impact is going to be on this until we actually get into it this first quarter, but I'll keep you all abreast of the referrals that we're getting and whether or not that there's people that's going to be able to pay that.
Who would they need to see?
They need to contact George Roach over in the GED Learning Centers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief Byrd, just a couple of things come in your day workers, Diane, for assisting there at one of the places, probably many places, but I talked to some of the staff there at Hastings Hospital. They did an outstanding job assisting with that inclement weather.
Thank you. Thank you.
And on the 120 tested on the GED, do you have the numbers yet? I may overlook it. What percentage passed?
No, but I can get that information for you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Council Lady Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm still trying to understand the impact of these GED changes, and what I'm hearing is there is a cost that they'll have to pay. It is no longer free, or maybe was it never free and I just thought it was?
If they come through our GED training program, through one of our programs, then we pay that amount. But we had a contract like with Thunderbird. We have a contract with some of the other schools where they filter the people to us. They pay that. But
Okay.
anybody that just came in off the street that wanted to test, if they come to our testing center, we'll have to charge them $160.
Whether they're a Cherokee citizen or not.
Right.
But otherwise,
Exactly.
they can go through the program and it would be free to them.
Exactly, exactly.
So the test will be effectively harder as part of the changes, more difficult in terms of the content or materials. And then we'll have fewer sites because there's stricter standards and that's what you're constructing around.
That is correct.
And you'll make those announcements. So, and some of those things are already in effect, so that's the drop-off in GED completions at this point, right? Is that correct? I just want to make sure I understand, so if somebody
Yeah.
comes to me, I want to be able to explain it to them.
For instance, previously, you could have gone maybe to one of the junior colleges, or you could have went to the VOTEC, or you could have gone someplace else, and you could have taken it on paper. It's all been computerized, and we had to put cubicles up where they're facing the wall, and your back is here, and the proctor or the examiner is watching them with the computer screen here. And they have to observe that computer screen as they're taking those tests. And somebody could actually come in and take part of the GED test, but they're still going to have to pay. It's going to behoove someone to take all four at one time rather than take parts of it, because it's going to be more costly when you break it out.
Okay, and then something that was brought up earlier, the vocational funding and then the work going on with Macy's and economic development. So there's $1 million now that's coming from CNB to your economic development group, right?
Right.
And so is that where the 500,000 for the Macy's deal came from, or is that in addition to that?
It's in addition to that.
So can you give a report or resend a report if it's something I've missed that gives an idea of what the staffing looks like? And I had some idea that I thought part of that funding went to vocational degrees, if that was the training they needed.
On the job
Just-
training, and specialized training. Specialized training is like short-term type training to get them up to speed in a particular trade so that they're employable. And then we do some,
So like a
we did
CDL
cul-
would count for
Well,
that,
we did
or-
like culinary. We were trying to get some people in the fast track for the holidays through C&B. We did some specialized training with the VOTEC to get some of those people up to speed. We met with Eric Shoemaker and the chefs, and these were the various things that they wanted brought out in the training, so that whenever they actually finished the training, they came in and did their practicum, and the chefs and all the stewards would look at the work that they were doing to determine whether or not they wanted to hire them in those fields. And so far, they've done a pretty good job of maintaining them.
I'm sure somebody was asking questions around it too, especially after the Macy's deal was announced. So can you resend the report about
What-
how it's staffed, how it functions?
Yeah,
and
what I can
we've been
do,
able to
what I can do is, Macy's is going to be sending me a breakout of the professional positions they're gonna need, like plumbers, electricians. They already have their general, then they'll subcontract out, and these are the positions they're gonna need and how much money they're actually gonna spend. I'll be getting that information. I'll put it in a report for the executive and finance. But I, wanted the chief to be able to tell you all what we're doing, what we're gonna be doing for this next year. People are already asking us about jobs. They don't even have a grid developed yet that far down the road. They're working on the construction piece of it. They'll be doing a ribbon cutting, groundbreaking, probably in, I would say probably March or April, but I don't know the date. They haven't come out with a date. I ask a lot of questions like you're asking me, and they said, we're not that far down the road yet. This is first of the year. Give us a few more weeks to put some of this stuff together, but we can send you what that supply list is gonna be for the construction. Then they're gonna be looking at vendors. Then they're gonna be looking at the job piece of it, probably in the fall or late fall.
And I am very interested, since Macy's is there and Owasso had reached out to me early, so I want more information on that. But I remember we had this economic development agreement with C&B, I think, in the prior administration, but it's funded at a higher level now, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'd like to understand, there's more to it than the Macy's deal. What is going on a day-to-day basis? Whose staff is there? What does that structure look like? What are they delivering under this?
I'll be glad to get all of that for you, but
Okay.
I don't have it right now.
Oh, I
And
understand.
I'm not, but as the months progress, we'll be able to get more and more information.
So you've
They
only had
have-
the $1 million in this fiscal year, or was it in the prior fiscal year or two?
It was 900 and something last year, and it's $1 million this year.
Yeah, and if you can share me the report from last year, that would be great.
The report should have been in your book. The report you asked for last month, I think it was in my report that I submitted.
But
It was supposed to be in the book. I don't know if it is or not. But that's the report that I gave to C&B.
Kathleen Watts, are you?
There's 2 pages provided by Diane Kelly, and it's the normal report. There's no additional extra stuff unless it's somewhere else.
Shelley,
all the education.
did Kim submit that with her 2-page report? She was supposed to have.
So I would've had that in my notes, so.
Maybe we get to you. Maybe
Okay.
order or something.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Byrd.
Hey, Diane, the day workers, are they capable of doing the weatherization?
Some may be, some may not be.
Would
It
you
just
recommend
depends.
that?
Do what?
Would you recommend they do?
Well, it's gonna vary from one client to the next. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Just a thought.
You're talking about them working in weatherization, or are you talking about them qualifying for weatherization?
Working.
Okay, some of them that come in, yes, could do that
Yes.
kind of work.
Yeah.
We just have to have the job sites and we have to have the training sites for them to go into.
Okay. Thank you.
Speaker Jordan?
Yes, you mentioned that Darrell Legg's program is running out of money. What did we fund him for this year? That line item?
I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go back and look at the budgets.
Can you prepare something for us so that we know what the need will be for that program for the remainder of the year?
Yes, I can. The reason I brought that up is because I think several of y'all have contacted him, and he said that, you know, he let everybody know that we're getting close to running completely out. And he said they need to know that because he said, I think they think that I'm telling them I can't help the clients or the constituents. He said, that's not the case. He said, the money's obligated.
Well, if we knew that, say over the next couple of weeks, we'll be going into carryover in February, maybe there's something that we could do along those lines. That's a very valuable program. The VOTEC, we don't want to tell kids they can't go to a VOTEC system and get a 16-week certificate that will put them into the workplace immediately. So if you could get us some figures together.
Okay,
And
be glad to.
provide those to all of us by email, if you would, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions?
See,
Thank you.
Appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Good luck with that resolution.
Oh, and thank you for the notepads, I've already used mine.
Very good, thank you.
All right, next we got the executive director reports, Bill Lando and Dr. Sly.
Good
Sly,
afternoon,
good to have you
ladies.
back. Good to be back.
Good to be back.
All right.
I hope you all had a wonderful holiday.
Bill,
It was great.
appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Okay, you have a copy of my report in front of you. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I do want to make one announcement. We did have our robotics competition this weekend at Sequoia High School. There were 19 school districts represented, 4 universities, and that constituted 58 teams. So we worked that was a long day for me. So, after returning from intertribal. So,
Okay, good.
if there are any questions?
Speaker Jordan?
Yes. Would, Bill, maybe you can help us with this question. This has to do with the it would be the people working on their master's and their doctorate, graduate work. I've got a person that did not go in the fall, but started her doctoral program, I guess this spring, or maybe she didn't know about your program in the fall.
Right.
And has found out about it, probably from me, I think I told her about it. And she's filled out the application, is in a doctoral program. And do we not, are we unable to help them?
Yeah, we're currently not funding PhD candidates. It's not because we don't want to, it's just our resources don't stretch that far.
Okay, so we're not doing any PhD candidates?
You know, I'd have to check on that. I would have to look at directed studies, and, you know, possibly through directed studies we may be. There may be some who went uninterrupted that have may fallen into that, but I'd have to look and see if we have any at all. I know that Dr. Morton is our senior education advisor, and I go to him on issues like that. And when we discussed it last, we had an application come forward, and he said, no, historically, we have not funded PhD candidates.
What are we doing along the lines of graduate candidates? Are we not funding them the way we fund undergraduate?
Yeah, we fund graduate students, yes.
So,
Up to that master's level, and that's why I'm hesitant to give you a clear answer, because I'm not going to go on record saying there's no PhDs, because it could be possibly if someone stayed in the system, but for a new person coming in who's not currently being funded, that was the application I saw recently, and the answer was no. But I'd have to check to see. Does that make sense?
I guess my view anyway was a little bit different than what you're telling me now.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we need to have a meeting offline, because that was not my understanding that, I thought we were funding them all the way through a doctoral program.
Oh, I'd be glad to meet with you offline and talk about the whole scholarship
My
process.
concern was coming in mid-year. I didn't know we weren't funding them at all.
Yeah, it was my understanding that we were not funding PhD candidates. This was a new issue for me as well when that first one came up a couple months ago, and it was a new one for me as well.
I would ask the chair to consider setting up a working group meeting with education regarding that issue.
Who do you want president to speak?
Well, I would like to be president. I don't know who else is interested in this, but I want to see the kids, if they want to go all the way through a doctoral program, we need more that are of that level. So we got 1, 2. Julia, are you here now?
No,
We may have to have a
But
special.
it's right up my
meeting 'cause
alley of
the numbers
interest.
that wants to attend.
Okay, well, then I would ask for a special meeting regarding that issue.
You guys wanna have it just after the Terrell?
No, you can't do it that quick. We'll have to post
Oh,
the
close it
10-day
there, 5
closing
days
to
instead.
talk about restrictions.
Let's get with Shelley and set up a meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
and then that would allow Julia to come in on streaming video. That way,
That was good. All right, that's a great question.
thank you.
All right,
We'll be getting back with you.
Council Lady Fishing Hawk.
I got a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer them or not. It has to do with the Cherokee Nation Foundation. There's been talk that I've heard, and I've heard it around the Cherokee Nation. There's some assets missing over there. There's a very valuable printer that's missing. There's some expensive blankets, about 300 of them, that's not accounted for. I've been told there's some scholarships given out. I know for a fact the former chief's son went to Hawaii to gain a degree. He never did gain a degree. Come back home after a year or two. Everything was paid for. I know of some other scholarships, some assets being used. I'm wanting to know if you know anything about this, if the Attorney General is looking into it, if charges are going to be filed.
If there is anything that is missing,
That person's not here to defend themselves and there was enough specifics given. I don't think it's appropriate to proceed with those, right, under the Constitution?
What part of the Constitution? I didn't name no names.
and I wasn't going to name names, I was going to say, if that had happened, it would go to the Attorney General's office, but I'm not privy to that. I'm on the board, but we haven't had a meeting this month, and I did not hear it previous to this in the meeting before. So
Okay. Could you get ready to brief us and let the AG know that
I would like to,
meet with him because,
I would like to bring the executive director,
okay,
current executive director with me to answer your questions, okay?
okay.
And I don't know, I'm trying to think of who the president is right now. We're new board, so we're just organizing too. But I can't answer those questions right now.
Okay, do you know if there's any kind of audits being done, so? you'll
Yes,
know
there are.
Where the new board starts, where the other one left off, so you'll know where the blame lies?
Yeah, we're having audits connected. That was one of the first things that we asked to have done.
I think it's best for a part of the new board to be protected.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah, I don't want anything to reflect on the new board.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Fishel. Just, I believe the new president is Tanya Roselle. Is Tanya Roselle, is that familiar?
Yes, this is familiar. She was our interim, and I'm trying to remember who was elected. I was at that meeting, but I just
I
didn't.
believe it's Tanya
Yeah.
Roselle as president.
I don't recall. She may have had to stay in.
All right,
We're
thank you.
kind of, we appoint by acclamation sometimes.
Council Lady Coates.
Yeah, it occurs to me that in gaining a PhD, most people get a master's on the way, right? And once you've done enough of the credits and met the requirements and so forth, you are actually awarded that degree before you continue on. So I was, it's kind of maybe a strange point, but do you know if we are at least able to fund people, even if they're in a doctoral program for the first 2 years or so, when they would be you know, on the way to a doctorate degree, but would also be, you know, getting a master's in those first couple
I
of
think
years.
that will come forward when we have the meeting that we just spoke about.
So at this point,
But-
we're
But I
not,
think that
though.
in terms of the resources, I mean, the undergraduate amount is a good sum of money now. But as you know, that it hasn't always been as good as it is now for students. And so I think it's just a matter of trying to meet the essential need. And so we really focused on those students going for that 4-year degree first, and try to get as many of them in school so they can, you know, get a degree and get a job. And that's been our first focus. We're by all means, we're school people. I mean, we're not opposed to kids
I know.
going to school. So it's
The
just a
other-
matter of how to best meet our need.
The other question I had about directed studies is that I know in the past, we had a directed studies program that listed a number of professional fields of study, all of which were things that would, you know, be very beneficial to the Cherokee Nation
Yeah.
itself. But I think that recently, when I sort of looked at what was being funded by directed studies, it was almost exclusively health professions. Do you know if that's the case at this time?
Currently, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Currently, it is predominantly health. It is predominantly health, and it's not necessarily build it and they will come. I mean, this program has matured, and as it's matured, one of our primary focuses is that student has a job when they get through the program. And so in order to do that, we really want to identify that department and that sponsor before we actually enter into an agreement with that student, so it all works out. And so,
Well, it may have matured, but it also seems to have narrowed, you know, as that has happened. And I understand that, you know, that's the predominance.
yeah.
The predominant need probably is in health professions, but I'm sure we also need people in business and hospitality and environmental solutions and all of the other areas that
Yeah.
we have an interest as a tribe.
And I think one of the points I was trying to make is that point of contact really should start with the various departments. I mean, we really need to have a department that steps forward and say, I need people in these fields. And that's what's happening with health. Health is coming forward and saying, we need a dentist. We think this student's going to be a great dentist, and maybe we're not getting as much of that from the other departments right now.
So, in other words, it's up to the department to come to you rather than the other way around, of education seeking what?
I think that way works best, but we will, you know, if we have a student come forward, we will shop them around. I mean, we're not going to turn them away, but it's really is best if we have an identified need from a department.
Okay, have the departments been informed that they need to, you know,
I think
make that identification to
everybody's
you?
familiar with the program, but probably, we probably wouldn't hurt to do another reminder out to the departments on what's available.
Okay, I think that would be good too, yeah. Thank you, thanks
Sure.
very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Chair.
Councilor Coates, sorry. Councilor Watts, did you have your hand up for the meeting, or do you have a question?
No, I had a question,
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
We haven't seen any travel reports from Miss Cherokee, and I know it was an issue last year. Is she being allowed to travel to at-large meetings, or how are those things going?
There's a travel report in here. It lists the locations that she's been to and some dates that she's going to be attending. Again, that is an issue of budget constraint, and if other departments or the programs invite her, we ask them to help, to assist with her travel. But she has been out and about to the extent of her budget.
And I don't,
See, I
I
thought
don't
we
recall
gave-
I don't recall any no's.
I don't
And
recall
I
any
think
right now.
Every time that she's been requested to go someplace, she goes.
Okay, because last year it was an issue, like really late, we found
Yeah.
out they had never been to at-large meetings at all. There had never been any travel, so I thought we budgeted for that, and probably I misread my note, but the note is that there's been no at-large travel that I've noted in her.
Well, and her, the fact that she's a student sometimes limits her, but we haven't been notified of any, but we think we've got the communication straightened out so that she knows about all of the meetings, even if, you know, at large or whatever, so that, you know, we can prepare for that.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then, how is Cherokee Promise going at Rogers State?
It's good, it's slow.
This is initial year.
This is our first year at RSU for the Promise program, which we've been running successfully at NSU for quite some time now. RSU is very passionate about this program. We met with President Larry Rice, and it was an interesting meeting. And he brought in his administrators when we were basically pitching the program that Dr. Morton had spoke to the President Rice about. And at the end of our little spiel, I guess you would say, the question was, when do you want to start this? And President Rice was the first one to speak up and say, we're going to start this next year. And so they've been beating the bushes on that, trying to get students involved in that program. I think it's going to give us a good North presence. The numbers are in your packet. They're rather low, around 8 right now. But we really expect that program to grow.
And not to be contentious, but I want to add a little more information, and not to contradict him, but we are beginning to formulate meetings with superintendents up north. We have 3 scheduled in 3 different areas up there to let them know about the opportunities for their students. This is the first time that we've been able to meet with the administrators and talk to them about some of our program offerings and some of the things that their students are eligible for, so that's widely dispersed. I think that with these meetings and closer contact with those superintendents, that we will get a bigger response for Rogers State, at least more people inquiring about it, and they'll know that it's there. Because I'm also, anytime we meet with the administrators, we try to have higher ed information there, or if it's their first time, and let them know about those issues, because that's the one thing that all schools are interested in is higher education.
So I had additional questions. So around that program, and I meant to ask RSU, but I'll just ask you, is that, what if we identify students that aren't just incoming freshmen? Can they still enter that program?
Yes,
Yeah.
they have to meet the income guidelines. So our focus is going to be freshmen, so we'll probably take freshmen first based on demand, but the demand is, we're not close to our demand right now, so it shouldn't be a problem. But this program does have to allow for students to come in beyond the freshman year.
Okay, and then one last question. This is really the Heritage Center stuff, and I think I understand the relationship. I'm not quite sure at this point, but would it be you guys or your team in education working with the Heritage Center, and you could report back to us on where the archives are for the tribe?
I would encourage I would encourage a Heritage Center independent report. I know they reported before.
Okay.
But yeah, the archives, that is a little bit of a blurry issue, because the archives are actually owned by the Historical Society. So our relationship with the Heritage Center is that those are our employees. And so we put, as you know, a substantial amount of funds in that program. And those are all the full-time employees, as last I checked, were all Cherokee Nation employees. But the property and the archives and all of that are owned by the Historical Society.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Dr. Sly is passing around the invitations for the public school outreach program.
Councilor Watts, are you finished?
I said thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
all right, thank you. Councilman Lee Keener.
I've already asked my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Lay.
Mine has been taken care of. Thank you.
Okay. Council Lady Hargis.
Of the 3,053 applicants that were funded, how many of those were at-large applicants? Can you give me a number or an estimate?
You know, the at-large applicants are all Pell eligible, but I'll have to get those numbers for you. So it's slightly different.
Council Lady Fishing Hawk.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, I remember during our first term on the directed studies, we were handing out a sheet of paper and it had like 20 or 25 areas.
Yeah.
Where we did not have Cherokees in. I remember looking at them. And these was areas we were gonna fund, and we was gonna start funding them, and we talked about it being like an IHS scholarship from the beginning through their master's, through their doctorate. And it wasn't not just IHS fields.
Right,
It was
correct.
any fields that we needed to, and it was not gonna stop at a master's. That was the council's intent.
Correct. For directed studies, yes. Yes.
So I'm really surprised that you're saying that they're not allowing anybody that wants to get their doctorate.
No, I think doctorate outside of directed studies. I think inside of directed studies, yes, we have to allow that. That's, the directed studies program really is an advanced degree program.
So there are
For
people in
direct-
directed studies
for
that
directed-
are 20 or 25 areas.
For directed studies. And I think when the program started, they basically launched a
How
really,
many in directed studies?
I think it's in your report, is it 18, 16, 18, 15? 15.
But there's none outside directed studies.
And PhDs, I'd have to check on that for sure. All I can tell you is that the last,
Report back to us and
yeah,
send
yeah,
it
we're
to
gonna,
David or
we're gonna, we'll address
And
that.
the other thing about the budget for the, last year we provided a budget
Mhm.
for Miss Cherokee.
Mhm.
Do you all have a budget in education for Miss Cherokee's travel?
Yes, we do.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, Miss Cherokee is traveling.
We provided her a budget for travel
Mhm.
and for some of her clothes, so she
Mhm.
had more than one, one paragraph.
Mhm.
Moccasins and anything else she needed.
Right,
So she is traveling.
She is.
yes.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood all that.
No, we just said she hasn't been to, I think she might have gone to Wichita, but not very many at-large meetings
Mhm.
because we weren't aware of them until like the week of, and it's kind of quick to match, to make.
Get with the chief's office.
No, we have gotten with the correct individual to schedule those, so we're aware of them now, so,
Okay, because we would like to see her travel.
yeah, she is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Speaker Jordan?
Are we also helping her with mileage to travel locally?
Uh-huh,
Okay,
she's getting that.
because she's going almost every
Uh-huh.
month.
Yeah, she's very
Yes.
busy.
Very busy.
And our junior Miss Cherokee is very active too. Are we doing anything along the lines of helping her get to, programs around the 14 counties?
Our budget is separate for junior
Right.
miss. You want to,
Or are we providing her mileage?
You're not providing her anything.
no, the junior miss
No.
gets very, very little in comparison.
We have the competition basically, and that's about it.
Mhm.
And but we do ask staff, if, without giving her mileage, we ask staff to provide transportation through GSA
Mhm.
For that,
Or is it junior miss?
for junior miss. And even if the smaller ones, the ambassadors are requested, then we try to get them there via Cherokee Nation employees and GSA, because they're on Cherokee Nation business.
And I am pleased to say this is our first year in doing so, at least in
Right.
quite some time, where we have the entire Miss Cherokee program, from Miss Cherokee all the way down to the ambassadors within education. And we have an advisory committee made up mostly of former Miss Cherokees to help guide that program along.
Chief Burke? You know, just adding what Speaker said about our junior miss, she has been very active. I mean, one of the most active princesses that we've had in quite a while. Very talented, of course, like the rest of them. But maybe you can present to the council a small budget that would help. I'm not talking about equivalent to Miss Cherokee, but something that would enhance what you guys already do.
Okay.
Would you please do that?
We'll do that, yes.
Could you work that budget up and return it to us fairly quick?
Oh, okay,
Okay?
all right.
We'd like to do something now,
Now, okay, I can,
because she's very, very active. They kind of tag team, kind of like y'all are doing today. They kind of tag team and split their duties up. Sometimes they can come together, but for the most part, they're trying to do double duty on the same night.
right. Right.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, Mr. Ando, we appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
We'll be expecting you back next month.
You should be. My absence was never ill-intended, so we have all the faith in the world, and Dr. Sly and her knowledge and institutional knowledge has been very helpful. As you can see, I lean heavily on her to help run education services. It's a huge department, takes a great team of people, and she's certainly at the top of the list. And so I expect to be here on a regular basis. If I'm not here, it doesn't mean that I'll never come back. It just means that something came up and I will be here again. So
Great report.
I'm real.
Hey, thank you. Good report.
Thank you.
All right, Head Start, Verna Thompson. What is going on, Ms. Verna?
Happy New Year. Not
New Year's
just
Eve.
everything, trying to get ready for the review. I'm here to entertain any questions you might have from my written report.
Is there any questions for Ms. Verna? Once, twice?
I do have a reminder to Councilman Byrd and Speaker Jordan for the Policy Council meeting Thursday at 11:30 to 1 in the conference room.
What is that again?
The Policy Council meeting Thursday, 11:30 to 1 in the conference room. Lunch is provided. Questions?
All right,
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, Sequoia High School, Leroy Qualls.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's hard to follow something like that, isn't it? She got right through her report. And I'll try to do the same. Some of the information that I gave you on my report is a little bit outdated, and I'll try to give you some revisions and catch you up a little bit on what's going on at school. I think Shelley probably got you guys the student booklet that we put out at booths for community meetings or new students that come to ask about our schools. It's got all the information for the high school and the immersion school there. On the back, it's got the school calendar on it to show you when we're in school. We're working on a new booklet for the next school year. We'll be having a social or an open house for 8th graders. We haven't set the date yet, but that will be in the near future. And we hope to have a new booklet by then to give to prospective students that come in. We've also had students and families come in to ask about coming next fall. So they start early. They started before Christmas. The applications will be online and ready soon. I would say probably mid-February. On that first academic team report there, that is actually this coming weekend when they participate. One proud thing is that it's the farthest a Sequoia academic team has ever made. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna tell you, I know I started asking about ACT scores probably 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was before you was ever on board. And the average was like 16, 17.
Yes, ma'am.
You have done a great job.
We try.
I'm glad the focus is on that academics and it's doing so well at Sequoia High School. That's where it needs to be. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Have to give our junior achievement teacher and new program some credit for that.
You tell them teachers are doing good.
Thank you, ma'am. Also, we got a student resource room at the immersion school that'll be completed very soon. We can have more individual things to work in with our elementary kids. We have a shock education program coming up the 22nd, which is not on the report, and it'll be to do with healthy diets, hazardous effects of tobacco. The mascots from the shock will be giving a presentation to elementary students, and we are inviting surrounding schools to come and bring their students for that. That'll follow a joint superintendent's meeting between Adair and Cherokee County, which will be at Sequoia High School starting at 9 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd. We'll adjourn that meeting and go straight into the shock demonstration on healthy diets and healthy habits. Our basketball teams, that's a little bit outdated, but currently the girls are 9-1 and the boys 8-2. Still ranked number 5. The girls won a championship Saturday night at the Muskogee Civic Center, beating Spiro 58-44 for first place. The boys had a good showing. They finished 3rd, lost to Jinx, which is pretty tough, and beat Coweta in the 3rd place game by 12 points. Made a good showing. Football stadium renovation will be taking place in the near future to try to get it up to code. We do not have handicap areas, as I reported earlier, and the BIE people are going to come in along with our facilities, Cherokee Nation facilities, to help get that ready. The ADA I put down at the bottom there, I think that's pretty good. You know, I think it's pretty good for most any high school. I know what it was at Tahlequah, and I know what it is at Sequoia, and I'm proud of that for our kids attending as well as they do. If there are any questions, that's just a few updates that I wanted to give to you that was not on the report.
Bert, Mr. Qualls, that's the first thing that stands out is your ABA. Congratulations to you and your staff. I know you worked hard on that. And even the ACT, the October average there, 19, so that really stands out. And again, commend you and your staff. And, I was at the Shriners tournament, and one thing that stood out was the girls were the championship. They won it. But they played one team early on, and our girls had a lead, a sizable lead. And when the other team would score, our girls would clap for them. And the fans picked up on that. And we won handily, but every time the other team would do something good, our team would congratulate them. When it was over, I was visiting some of the Shriners and some of the fans, and they said that was really a showman of class and sportsmanship that they haven't seen before. And that's what really stood out, not so much the victory of the tournament, but how they presented themselves and the class and sportsmanship that the teams displayed. So again, commend you and Coach Callison, the coaching staff for that.
We're very proud of that, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a comment. Coach, what's the latest on the stoplight at the Sequoia entrance?
We're hoping to get started on it, maybe do some groundwork in May. We're looking at access lanes, acceleration and deceleration coming in. From what I understand is that the grant has been approved to pay for putting the traffic light in. So once we start, it's supposed to be close to a 90-day project. That's why we want to get a little bit done before school gets out as far as the groundwork and as much as we can, so it'll be ready to go before school starts.
Well, it's busy up there at that entrance.
Very busy.
Yeah.
And we're going to temporarily change our exit to the middle gate that it's locked right now, so we can do some groundwork in that main entrance there.
Back behind the golf course too. That's pretty safe too. It goes up around Job Corps or up there by Greenleaf Cemetery.
Yes, sir.
Safe. One more comment or question. What's the waiting list right now up at Sequoia? Approximately.
We took a few kids at the semester break that we were able to take. There's still, I'm sure, students there that has not gotten in. I don't have a spreadsheet of that. We do have one at school. I'll give that to you later. I do know that we increased our 8th grade number last year from 20 to 39, which tells me that we're going to have a few less spots open for incoming students for the next school year. So, and I know that you all get tired of hearing that at your community meetings. We're doing everything short of putting them on top of the building. We're hoping to use the Jack Brown Center renovation. Maybe we can put a couple of classes out there for next year, is what our hope is, that we can find spaces temporarily to put kids. What I'm saying is that we won't have as many slots next year because we've expanded our 8th grade. Last year, I think we had a grand total of a little over 100 that were denied. So if that gives you any idea.
Chief Burr.
I would invite council members that are interested to come there and look at and tour the facility. That is an old school, and some of it hasn't weathered the storm as well as it should have, and I think it needs some repairs, and I'll let them see for themselves. I have already made that tour several times, but when that time comes, if you would, you might set something up like that where we can tour the facility there. It needs some improvement.
I'll give you a standing open invitation. Just come up. I'll get someone to tour you, and you can see what you want to see, and they'll give you a good tour of the campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, we got I got some pictures this week from, I guess, the storm, and I guess there's a lot of damage. The roof leaks real bad in the dormitories. And how many students are we running in dorms? About 75 in each dorm?
117.
117. And these kids are having to live in some pretty rough conditions. And you know, and the facilities maintenance, they're just making just minor repairs, just trying to just make do. But for the students to really take pride in their school, and that's our school, we really need to look at the facilities and maybe contributing some type of assistance.
But we did double our population in the dorms from last year, which was at 60 to 120 this year. We've had a few kids that went home, so we're at 117 right now.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Walsh. All right, down to old business, none pending. New business, none pending. Announcements. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 10th, at 3 o'clock. Hear a motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. All right, 4:30.